once again. Look how Putin's looking there. He's the dad who came home to pick you up from. You know you're gonna get it when you get home. That's how Trump looking. Oh, Dad gonna be. You were doing that in class. You were doing that. Well, it wasn't my fault. Melania said, "You letting a woman tell you what to do? Don't you now? Da." Well, Melania said, "Look at him. He looks in trouble. He made the whole country look weak. Then Putin's looking like, say it to my face. Say it to my face." He looked like when he get home and them cameras is off, Putin is finna get to smacking him around. He looks scared. He's supposed to make America great again. He's making us look weak. This is what we got as a president. Look at Putin like, look at this. He looks like a puppet on a string. So all the Trump supporters, this is what you wanted in the White House? That's what you wanted? You might as well put Putin in there. Well, shoot, we already got Putin in the White House. 12 Russian officials were implicated. 12 just a week ago, right before he had to pull up. They did the timing just right because they knew. They said, oh, he's got to go there. Yeah, we got him. Don't worry about it. We got something for him. We know he got to go there. We pulling up. We going to get this done right before he got to go in. They knew. Oh yeah. Take it down because Dopey don't like it. That's what it is. All himself.
Putin did sit down with Fox News' Sean Hannity in something of an exit interview, and here's how he characterized their one-on-one meeting yesterday.
I thought that President, as of today, I thought we were doing horribly before today. I mean, horribly, dangerously. That term,
oh, hand job.
Today, but I think it was really
Hannity.
You really had a potential problem.
Well, clearly the president's view is likely to change today. He might be the only one who thinks that relations are that much better today, but not that meeting.
This is America.
Because it is really reaching a fever pitch.
Trump made us look bad.
This morning here in the United States, not being too kind of President Trump talking.
Not at all. Abby Phillip with the White House. Thank you, and do let us know when you do hear from some folks inside. Now, the Republican chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee says Vladimir Putin knows he gained a lot in that half-day summit in Helsinki and probably celebrated with caviar on the flight home. That is what Bob Corker said yesterday. Lauren Fox is on the Hill with more. So, I mean, look, pretty much you have Republicans united on this.
Absolutely. More than 36 Republican lawmakers have come out against the president's performance yesterday in Helsinki, deeply concerned about that.
The president's performance was live. We saw him
Putin over U.S. intelligence community's findings
live get embarrassed.
Meddled in the U.S. election. Senator John Cornyn, the Senate's #2 Republican, told CNN yesterday that he's considering some kind of measure that lawmakers are talking about, a way to reaffirm their support of the intelligence community's findings on the issue of Russian meddling. And a lot of Republican lawmakers just deeply frustrated. You can hear it in their voices as they talked about this summit yesterday. Here's Senator Bob Corker of Tennessee and
Republicans break with President Trump over Putin comments.
president.
Look at all the
yesterday.
Republicans.
The president's comments made us look as a nation more like a pushover.
Vladimir Putin spouted many of his usual lines that were just completely wrong, and he did it standing next to the leader of the free world, and there was no rebuttal. Having the U.S. president side with Putin over U.S. intelligence is just unacceptable.
Wow, that sounded edited to
One
you?
of the issues here for lawmakers is that they viewed this meeting as already problematic. Yesterday, Trump's performance, of course, seems like a worst-case scenario for many Republican lawmakers.
He made us look bad.
All right, Lauren, moments ago I said the president hadn't tweeted yet, but then he tweeted. Let me read you what the president just wrote. Thank you, Rand Paul. We're talking about Senator Rand Paul. You really get it. Then he quotes Rand Paul saying yesterday on CNN with Wolf, the president has gone through a year and a half of totally partisan investigations. What is he supposed to think? I mean, Lauren, Rand Paul is pretty much on an island here, right? Remind us what he's been saying.
Well, there were just a few Republican lawmakers who came out in support of President Donald Trump. Rand Paul was one of them. Mark Meadows was another. Here's what those two lawmakers had to say in support of President Trump yesterday.
To draw far-reaching conclusions from a press conference, I don't think is indicative of what the president is and sort of what actions are required on our part.
We've made this all about the sour grapes of Hillary Clinton losing the election, and it's all about partisan politics now. This is truly the Trump derangement syndrome that motivates all of this.
Strong support, of course, Poppy, for the president, but they are in the minority. We have to remember a lot of Republicans, like we said earlier, coming out with a strong rebuke of the president's performance yesterday in Helsinki.
But he's headed to the Hill shortly. That we will see. Lauren Fox, thank you. Joining me now is Republican Congressman Mike Turner of Ohio. He is a member of the Intel Committee. Thank you for being with us, sir. And let me just begin with the words of your fellow Republican Senator John McCain in response to the press conference the president had with Vladimir Putin. Senator McCain says it is disgraceful. Do you agree?
Well, it's certainly deeply damaging. And I serve on the Armed Services Committee and the Intelligence Committee, and I'm the liaison to the Native Parliamentary Assembly and have served as president of the Native Parliamentary Assembly. So let's talk about how damaging it is, because I don't think that the president understands that. We could lose it in the dialogue here. How can we ask Poland, Romania, Hungary to stand up to Russia meddling in their own countries if the president of the United States, leader of the free world, can't do it? How do we say to the Baltics, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, who have meddling and hacking that's going on from the Russians, that we don't believe the Russians are doing it? How do we say to the Netherlands, who are concluding their investigation on the downing of the Malaysian airliner, where Russia murdered innocent civilians who were in a commercial airline, and came out and firmly pointed the finger at the Russians, but the President of the United States doesn't do that. This deeply damaging statement that the President has made of not believing the intelligence community, which clearly, Congress is on record of believing the intelligence community needs to understand he has damaged national foreign policy.
Do you believe, Congressman, that the president has, in addition to what you say, damaging our country, a country he says it's always America first, do you think that he gave a green light to Russia yesterday in that press conference to meddle in 2018, to meddle in 2020?
Well, I think he's giving them a pass, which certainly gives them the ability to continue all of the things that we've seen.
That's a green light, right?
Election. I think he's giving them a pass, and certainly not holding them accountable. And that's what we need from the president. Congress certainly has identified clearly that Russia meddled, clearly cannot stand, allies cannot, and they really don't have the strength that we do. To ask the president to our allies to stand up to Russia when the president of the United States does not. It is certainly in Ukraine, the murderous actions that have been taking place in Syria. This is a country that does not deserve a pass. Russia needs to be held accountable, and the president of the United States is the one to do that.
Congressman, is there anything, one iota of something, that America gained yesterday?
dangerous summit to begin with. The president didn't set out what his goals were. And in fact, if you'd asked anybody in Congress what the purpose of this so-called summit was, which really was just a meeting, no one would be able to say. But certainly what we know now is the only thing that's come out of this summit is certainly dangerous policies, dangerous statements, divisiveness between, of course, the president and Congress. The president needs to make firm statements that he understands that Russia is not an ally, that Russia has meddled in the elections, that Russia is a destabilizing force, threatening our allies. And he just left Europe and chastised Germany for being too close to Russia because they buy their energy there, and then went and gave a complete pass to Russia, Vladimir Putin, on everything he's doing in the world stage.
So this morning in the New York Times, and I'm sure you've already read it, but columnist Tom Friedman writes this, quote, "Every single Republican lawmaker will be and should be asked on the election trail, are you with Trump and Putin, or are you with the CIA, FBI, and NSA?" So I will ask you, Congressman, are you with Trump and Putin, or are you with the CIA, FBI, and NSA?
You know, I think that's a very dangerous statement to make. You know, members of Congress are part of the democracy, part of democracy. The intelligence community is a creature of and was created by Congress and reports to the President of the United States. I don't think we ever want elected officials to say, I'm with the intelligence community. I'll tell you this, I believe the intelligence community, and I certainly have voted so on the Intelligence Committee, and have sent to the President of the United States a statement that Russia meddled, and for the purposes of damaging Hillary Clinton, all things which clearly he disagrees with. But I think that, you know, we certainly don't want to, and it's a dangerous road to go down in a democracy to say we're going to elevate the intelligence community among our democratic institutions.
So in April, you and your fellow members of the House Intelligence Committee released your final report on part of your more than year-long asserting that interference in the election was done to help elect Donald Trump. But listen to what President Putin said yesterday when a reporter posed this, asking him if he wanted President Trump to win.
President Putin, did you want President Trump to win the election, and did you direct any of your officials to help him do that?
Yes, I did. Because he talked about bringing the U.S.-Russia relationship back to normal.
For Trump.
Here I said that I disagreed.
What a surprise.
Russia did so.
And let's see if there's an edit to it.
Not to the level of the other intelligence is done. But my assessment, my belief is I agree with the intelligence community.
Y'all sided with a fool from a reality show.
But it did find...
That just shows y'all the level of your intelligence.
That the belief of the Republicans on the Intel Committee was that the meddling was not done with the purpose of helping elect Donald Trump.
Actually, it does not
Do you
say
think
that. No, just a second, because this is very important. Pull the report out, because it does not say that. Mike Conaway, the chair of the Russia investigation, personally said that, but the report itself does not.
Right.
And I personally, in March, prior to the report being concluded and adopted by the Intelligence Committee, firmly stated that it is my belief that he absolutely was doing it for the purposes of hurting Hillary Clinton, for the purposes of helping Donald Trump, and that is certainly consistent with what we are seeing from the Intelligence Committee and the intelligence.
I appreciate your time this morning, Congressman. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Tough on Putin, not the president. This guy, Reuters reporter Jeff Mason, joins me next. And when the president throws you under the bus in the world stage, how does U.S. intelligence recover, and what does this mean for the Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coats? Plus, no White House briefing today as backlash grows. This morning, what we're learning is going on behind the scenes at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Oh yeah, it's damage control. They just made America look weak.
Business. Apply for a line.
At all accountable for anything in particular? And if so, what would you consider them that they are responsible for?
Yes, I do. I hold both countries responsible. I think that the United States has been foolish. I think we've all been foolish. We should have had this dialogue a long time ago. A long time, frankly, before I got to office. And I think we're all think it's kept us apart. It's kept us separated.
The person that asked that very important question was Reuters White House correspondent Jeff Mason, seizing on the moment, asking not one but two tough questions on Russian election meddling to the president. Here's the second.
And this was the one that broke.
Why should Americans and why should President Trump believe your statement that Russia did not intervene in the 2016 election, given the evidence that U.S. intelligence agencies have provided? And will you consider extraditing the 12 Russian officials that were indicted last week by a U.S. grand jury?
Well, I'm going to let the president answer the second part of that question. A little bit before, but it came out as a reason why the Democrats lost an election, which frankly they should have been able to win because the Electoral College is much more advantageous to Democrats, as you know, than it is to Republicans. We won the Electoral College by a lot.
If you missed it, that was the president sort of running interference, as the New York Times this morning, to a correction. Jeff Mason, who joins me now, posted. That in and of itself is extraordinary to see, right? You were asking Putin, and the president sort of jumps to his defense.
Yeah, he was talking in Russian, and Trump jumped in. He didn't say President Trump. He said Putin.
In the UK, were you surprised when Sarah Sanders gave you a question here as well?
Usually, I just figured I got the question first, so I wasn't expecting to be the first one. But it's always a privilege to have an opportunity to ask questions. Certainly, in this case yesterday, the fact that it was both the President of the United States and the President of Russia having such a historic summit, there were important questions to ask. And I was happy to play a role in that.
Jeff, did it surprise you when the first sentence out of the president's mouth, when you asked him if he holds Russia responsible for anything, was a both sides answer? Once again, akin to Charlottesville, a both sides. And by the way, the U.S. was, in his words, foolish in the first sentence.
It did, yeah. Although maybe it shouldn't have. I mean, and the reason I asked the question was he kicked off his day in Helsinki with that tweet in which he blamed, as I sort of said in that question, U.S. foolishness. U.S. blamed the United States essentially in the Robert Mueller probe, and U.S. stupidity was the other word he used for the decline in relations between the United States and Russia. There's a whole list of things that he could have used
Wow.
what he held Russia accountable for. And in fact, his advisors would have prepped him for that because in the weeks going up to the trip, advisors had said
He sold us out.
that Russia was responsible.
Your president
for
sold us out.
And the president just not only didn't use that word,
He made us
he
look
didn't
weak
come up with
again.
He didn't talk about election meddling.
He
didn't
went
talk
up
about
there
Syria, he
and
didn't
put
talk
his
about
tail in
how
between
he
his
was
leg and let the country down.
Came out after the presser without clearing it to the White House, just to reiterate exactly where the U.S. intelligence community stands on all of this. So there's no White House press briefing today. One is, what are you going to ask?
Well, I'm sure that the White House is working on some damage control right now. I think
Yeah, they doing damage control there this morning in the war room.
Didn't really change much.
Dad, I'm trying to tell you, you
I'm
voted,
sure
you
they're
backed the
working on
wrong
a
horse.
response, and they'll continue to watch how Republicans in particular are reacting, in addition to Democrats and Americans across the country. I think the next question for the White House is, is the president reconsidering this at all? But it's kind of hard to imagine that he is because, he would have been prepared or should have been prepared for those types of questions yesterday. Those are the things that we've been asking for months, or a year and a half. And that is genuinely what he believes.
Right.
So, and he's not somebody who is quick to turn around on that. Just look at Charlottesville. And this, in some ways, is similar to that, I think, in that if he starts to feel cornered, he's usually someone who will double down rather than turn around.
Except you have even more Republican lawmakers breaking with the president on this one than did on Charlottesville. So will it be different when he feels that pressure? I think being on the Hill today. Jeff Mason, thank you. Good to have you.